In addition to being a Caribbean paradise with beautiful beaches and gorgeous weather, the island of Puerto Rico is quickly becoming a tax paradise as well. That's right, guys. Puerto Rico offers some truly incredible tax breaks, and that is why many wealthy people from the United States and other nations are flooding there to take advantage of these tax breaks. In this video, I'm going to discuss the specific tax advantages of Puerto Rico, how these taxes came to be, and give you some examples of some famous wealthy people who have already moved there. And I'll also be explaining why you should consider possibly even moving to Puerto Rico yourself if you're someone who wants to avoid taxes. Don't forget to stay to this end of this video. I have a special golden nugget for you that will pertain to whether or not it makes sense for you to move to a country like Puerto Rico. Let's dive in. All right, guys, first thing we have to discuss is what are the tax breaks that Puerto Rico offers? Puerto Rico offers a number of tax breaks for people who want to move to the island, especially business owners. However, the most popular and significant of these are the exemption from federal income taxes, a 4% corporate tax rate, and the exemption from capital gains taxes. That's right, for people who qualify for these tax breaks, they can live on the island of Puerto Rico and pay just 4% in taxes per year, and they can make as much money as they would like in capital gains and not have to owe any taxes on the profits. This is incredibly different from the United States, where wealthy individuals commonly have to pay up to 40 to 50% in taxes every single year federally, and plus their state taxes and capital gains taxes included. People who take advantage of the tax advantages in Puerto Rico do not even have to give up their U.S. citizenship. They simply have to be a resident of Puerto Rico, which means living on the island for at least 183 days per year. And in order to qualify for the tax breaks offered by the Puerto Rican government, you will also have to have an office or a physical work location on the island. This could be your home or another work location. Another key tax advantage is that the Puerto Rican government offers a 100% property tax exemption for the first 5 years of residency in Puerto Rico also. So you won't have to pay property taxes either for the first 5 years that you lived on the island and own a property. But why does Puerto Rico offer such incredible tax breaks? Now that you know how incredible the tax breaks that the government of Puerto Rico offers, you might be asking yourself why, or how is this possible, and why are they offering it to us? Well, the main reason why Puerto Rico offers these tax benefits is so that it can attract wealthy people who will create jobs on the island by bringing their businesses to the nation of Puerto Rico. In other words, Puerto Rico is using tax breaks as a way to become a magnet for entrepreneurs. It appears to be working too. It is reported that over 40,000 new jobs have been created in Puerto Rico as a result of these new tax breaks. In the past, Puerto Rico was heavily dependent on federal subsidies from the United States government in order to maintain its economy. However, these subsidies were drastically reduced starting in 1996. Ever since then, Puerto Rico started incurring larger debts, and in fact, the national debt of Puerto Rico has been ballooning, and it is now at $74 billion in bond debt, as well as $49 billion in unfunded pension liability. To make things worse, Puerto Rico's gross national income declined by 14% between 2007 and 2017. And during this time, unemployment went as high as 17%, and 46% of the population lived beneath the poverty level. Now, to catch you up, in 2017, Puerto Rico was hit with one of the strongest storms in 90 years, Hurricane Maria, which single-handedly caused roughly $90 billion in damages. The Puerto Rican government had tried many different strategies in order to reduce the debt and fix the economy. Most of these strategies involved raising taxes. However, this didn't seem to help very much. So, Puerto Rican politicians decided to make a change and go in the opposite direction. It is unclear whether or not the tax breaks will solve all of Puerto Rico's financial problems. However, it is clear that the number of jobs that are appearing in the nation of Puerto Rico is increasing. Since a lot of these tax breaks have gone into effect in the last 3 to 5 years, unemployment in Puerto Rico has dropped significantly. And in fact, unemployment in Puerto Rico is currently hovering at around 6.5%, which is almost 3 times as low as it was in 2010. Now, who is taking advantage of the Puerto Rican tax breaks? The Puerto Rican tax breaks have proved to be very popular with crypto investors, digital nomads, and very wealthy individuals. A number of high-profile people and celebrities have even capitalized on Puerto Rico's tax breaks already. For example, famous YouTuber influencer Logan Paul has even moved to the sunny island after announcing that he would be swapping California for Puerto Rico on his impulsive YouTube show. Paul has been living in a swanky $13 million home in Dorado Beach community at the Karlton Reserve. Since then, he's enjoying full tax benefits and keeping around 96% of his business income. Logan Paul also claimed that moving to Puerto Rico has helped him to remain more focused on his boxing training. He famously trained in Puerto Rico before fighting arguably the greatest boxer of all time, Mr. Floyd Money Mayweather, on June 6 of 2021. Another well-known individual who relocated his primary residence to Puerto Rico is billionaire Brock Pierce. Brock Pierce is a former child actor who starred in the first two Mighty Duck movies and who became wealthy primarily through investing in cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin. In fact, Pierce started his own venture capital firm called Blockchain Capital, which was geared towards crypto investing at large scale. Pierce's net worth is currently at around $1 billion, and in 2017, Brock moved to Puerto Rico primarily to enjoy the tax benefits in addition to the island's other attractions such as the golf courses, the beaches, and the nice weather. In fact, Pierce was the leader of a group of other traders and cryptocurrency evangelists who all moved to the island. This group plans to turn Puerto Rico, or at least parts of it, into a sort of crypto utopia. Ironically, the tax breaks of Puerto Rico also attracted one of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency's biggest critics, Peter Schiff. Peter Schiff is the CEO and chief global strategist for Euro-Pacific Capital. Schiff moved his personal residence to Puerto Rico in 2017, around the same time that Brock Pierce did. So it would appear that Puerto Rico is attracting wealthy people of many different ideologies to its shores due to the massive tax breaks that it offers. But there is criticism of Puerto Rico's tax policies. Although many rich Americans looking to flee high federal and state income taxes are happy about Puerto Rico's tax policies, not everyone is. In fact, there have been so many very outspoken critics of the policies, including Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, aka AOC, the congressional representative from New York's 14th Congressional District. AOC, who herself is a Puerto Rican descendant, said this about the Puerto Rican's tax break policy for wealthy Americans. It's horrifying. It's an example of the continued colonization of the people of Puerto Rico. We are essentially importing a ruling class. With these remarks, AOC was referring to the colonization of Puerto Rico by the Spanish beginnings in the early 1500s. It is true that following the original colonization of Puerto Rico, the local people suffered immensely by being forced into slavery, being oppressed to diseases, etc. But many people would argue that the new influx of millionaires and wealthy business people to Puerto Rico is a blessing for the island because it is creating jobs, which helps improve the economy of Puerto Rico. Considering what their ancestors have gone through, it is very understandable why Puerto Rican people, or even people with Puerto Rican ancestry such as AOC, would be weary of a bunch of people, very powerful people, suddenly showing up on their island and setting up shop there. It is not just AOC who has criticized Puerto Rico's lenient tax laws for wealthy American business owners and investors. In fact, many of the local Puerto Rican people believe that the tax laws are unfair to Puerto Ricans, most of whom do not qualify for the 4% tax that many people like Logan Paul are enjoying. In fact, there is even a protest hashtag that has been making the rounds on social media in recent years regarding the situation. The hashtag is Abolish Act 60. Act 60 is the name of the act that put the main tax breaks into place in Puerto Rico. How the IRS is responding is a little bit different. Naturally, whenever people are trying to escape taxes, you can expect the IRS to be fighting back. But for now, when people who qualify for the tax breaks move to Puerto Rico, there's very little that the IRS can do to collect taxes from them. This is because residents of Puerto Rico are outside the jurisdiction of the United States since 2012. More than 4,000 U.S. mainland residents and firms have relocated to Puerto Rico to take advantage of these tax breaks that I'm speaking of. This translates to hundreds of millions in lost revenue for the IRS. As more and more wealthy individuals and firms catch on to this loophole, the revenue draining problems could get worse and worse for the IRS. In fact, Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen has even said that the tax gap would grow to $7 trillion in the next decade. We all know that the IRS likes to close loopholes whenever it is necessary to do so. So in the near future, it could take steps to try to shut down this exodus to Puerto Rico. In fact, it is already taking steps to make it more difficult. The IRS has already started a coordinated campaign to carefully look into the taxes of the 4,000 plus high net worth individuals and wealthy firms that have already moved to Puerto Rico in the last decade to reduce taxes. There are certain things that could get these people into trouble with the IRS and cause them to lose their tax exemption status with Puerto Rico to end up owing more money back to the IRS. For example, if people who claim to be residents of Puerto Rico do not actually live for at least 183 days on the island during the tax year, this could cause them to lose the tax exempt status and to owe way more money to the IRS. This is one of the reasons why Logan Paul has publicly stated that he will be in Puerto Rico for at least 6 months of every year while he is still claiming to be a resident of the island. Additionally, the IRS is also looking for people who may have owed money to the IRS before leaving to move to Puerto Rico and simply not paid it since they became tax exempt when they moved to the island. There are many other triggers, there are many other red flags that they are also looking for. These will only likely increase as more and more high earners move to the island to escape high taxes in America, especially from the tax-heavy states like California. New Jersey and New York are also high tax states. So I gotta ask you guys, do you think it's worth it to move to Puerto Rico? Comment below. For purely a tax perspective, yes, it can be worth it for many people to move to Puerto Rico. This is especially true for business owners and for investors who would be able to benefit the most from Puerto Rico's lenient tax policies. Just imagine being able to go from being taxed at 30 to 50% down to 4%. Many high net worth individuals, this could translate to millions and millions of dollars every single year.
100 million billion %.
But if you're going to make the move, you need to make sure that you do so in accordance with the United States and Puerto Rican tax laws. You especially need to make sure that you pay all of the taxes that you owe to the IRS before you go down the road of physically relocating yourself. And if you do relocate, you need to spend at least 183 days in the year on the island. If you don't, you could lose your tax exempt status. And yes, the government can investigate whether or not you were there for the amount of time that you claim you were there for. So don't make the mistake of thinking that you're one, smarter than the government, two, smarter than the IRS by trying to play games with whether or not you're there for 183 days. If you try to do that, you could find yourself being prosecuted for tax fraud. Just by moving to Puerto Rico, you could dramatically increase your chances of being audited. So keep that in mind as well. You should also remember that moving to Puerto Rico is a major life decision. So you shouldn't do it on a whim. For many people who move to Puerto Rico for the tax benefits, they leave behind the vast majority of their friends, the vast majority of their family members who remain in the United States. So you should only move forward with a decision to move to Puerto Rico if you're comfortable with the large amount of change that would come with such a move on your life. What happens if you move back to the United States though, after you move to Puerto Rico? If you decide to move back to the United States after living in Puerto Rico and enjoying the tax breaks there, you will most likely lose the exemptions that you had while you were living in Puerto Rico. This is because most of the major tax breaks only apply to people who have full residency status on the island of Puerto Rico. That means that you would have to have a domicile on the island of Puerto Rico and live there for at least 6 months or 183 days to remain eligible for the tax breaks such as the 4% corporate tax that I've spoken of. Once you stop living on the island for at least that amount of time per year, you will lose access to the tax breaks in most situations. Some people make the mistake of thinking that as long as they don't sell their property in Puerto Rico, that they can still qualify for the tax breaks even though they move back to the United States and spending time here. This is not true, guys, so don't make the mistake of thinking this. Regardless of whether you own property in Puerto Rico or not, if you are not living there for more than half of the year, then you will not be eligible for the main tax breaks that I'm speaking of. So how do we set up a Puerto Rican company? It is important to note that the tax incentives only apply to companies that provide services from Puerto Rico to the outside markets. This means that if you want to enjoy the abundance of tax breaks in Puerto Rico, you will have to incorporate your company in Puerto Rico. Bang, bang, bang. Here's the golden nugget that I was talking about. If you want to enjoy the tax rates of Puerto Rico, you're going to have to incorporate your company in Puerto Rico. One of the best ways to do this is to do a tax-free reorganization of the company to a Puerto Rican LLC. But you should also keep in mind that only exportable service-based businesses apply. Here's a list of some business types that could apply for the tax breaks in Puerto Rico. Number 1, advertising and public relations. Number 2, architectural and engineer services. Number 3, project management. Number 4, blueprint production. Number 5, packaging operations for exported products. Number 6, call centers. Number 7, centralized management services, which could include strategic direction, planning, distribution, logistics, and budgetary services. Number 8, computer software development. Number 9, consulting services, which could include economic, environmental, technological, scientific, managerial, marketing, human resources, computer, auditing, trade, business. Really is a lot of things that you can include, and as well as creative services. And what I'll do below is provide a list for you guys, which isn't a complete list, but will give you a better idea of all the different businesses that qualify. Even if they do not appear on this list, it may still qualify. You have to make sure that your business is located in Puerto Rico and provides services from Puerto Rico to the broader market. So for example, if you owned a construction business that only did construction in Kansas, this technically would not qualify. However, if you had a manufacturing plant in Puerto Rico that makes products for the United States-based construction companies, then this business could qualify since the services and products originate in Puerto Rico and flow out to the larger markets. All right, guys, so the bottom line is that while these tax loopholes remain open, Anyone who qualifies can save a ton of money by moving to Puerto Rico. As promised, here's my gold nugget of information regarding this situation. Although it may seem enticing to move to Puerto Rico to save money on taxes, tax laws frequently change and many people in Puerto Rico are not too happy about these tax breaks. So, you should definitely not assume that these tax breaks will still exist in the long term. If you think that a short-term move to Puerto Rico, say 1 to 5 years, makes sense for you, then it could be well worth your while to move down there. But if you're planning more of a long-term basis, then you should really think twice, because there is a very good chance that either the Puerto Rican government will change its mind and stop offering these tax breaks, or the IRS will find a way to prevent people from capitalizing on them as much. So that's it for today's video, guys. I just wanted to make sure you guys had the information from me as it pertains to moving to Puerto Rico, as many taxpayers are doing so, and I'm sure it might have crossed your mind. If you're interested in learning more about staying here in the United States and leveraging US-based tax laws, then I'd love for you to click on the link below. I have a training going over how to save 6 figures in taxes simply by leveraging real estate. If you'd like to get access to that training, the link will be below. I look forward to seeing you on my next video. Thank you so much. Cheers.